Hey everybody, Quantum here, and we are approaching our very first weekend in 2025. But before we go ahead and analyze what will come from that metagame, I just want to take a look at two important tournaments from the past 2 weeks. We got an update on one and a new one in the game Castle, which had 47 players, to see what we can expect maybe going into this weekend and into the North American Championships. The main one though is the Lorcana 5K that occurred back before Christmas. We finally got an update to that tournament with the top 8 deck lists being published, which is great. 64 players, a lot of top Canadian players showed up to this. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here. What's interesting is you see Amber Steel by Habibi here taking down Lazaro Bilodeau, who is Dale's brother. Two very good card game players back from the days in early Yu-Gi-Oh! They're now playing Lorcana, it looks like. But interesting to see that Steel Song ends up taking out Red Blue in the finals there. Because again, you would think that traditionally Red Blue has had such a good matchup, but as we've been discussing on this channel lately, Amber Steel seems to be the deck to beat right now. It's aggressive enough that it can get underneath a lot of decks, and a deck like Amber Steel, whether it's an aggro or a song variation, has enough to push through and aggro through a lot of boards, and of course reset card advantage if they're on the whole new world. So a deck like Red Blue, it just takes one bricked hand in order for you to just lose a game, and then you're just behind, right? And then you're playing one game on the play, one game on the draw, and that's how you can probably lose the finals. But I don't know exactly what happened here, but in this Amber Steel song list, we are seeing a very, I guess, standard one drop package for Cinderella, for Robin Hood, to Daisy Duck. This is similar to Mark Hott's list from the CCS 10K, I believe, as well. We've got one Lilo, fair. I don't think you necessarily need to play too many of these if you don't want to, simply because you just need one in rotation, really. But having multiple can be useful. Force Me and 4 Ursula Singer makes sense. 4 Ariel, of course. 4 Pete's, all making sense here. 2 Pluto, you can get on board with that. 2 Naveen is an interesting choice for sure. Um, Being able to just play a song right off the bat while developing a character. We know that Naveen has always been a potential threat, so it's interesting to see him included in this list. What I'd be interested in is the total uninkable count with the Naveens, and it's 16. My guess is then they are on 4 Zeus, okay. So I wonder what other uninkables they may have cut in order to make the Naveens work. Can't remember off the top of my head here. But 4 Rapunzel, 2 Sven. I've talked about this card before. This card is insanely good. Coming into play, being able to ready up a character is really, really strong. And it also quests for 2 and is a 3/3 body on top of that. Yeah, usually you see this in an aggro list, so it's very interesting to see it in a song list. But where this can be even more beneficial in a list like this is it says that the character that you ready up, they can't quest or challenge, but they can still sing. So you can go questing with Naveen and ready him up with the Sven, and then use Naveen to sing, right? Or sing with Ariel, play the Sven, ready up the Ariel, sing again, that kind of thing. So it does make sense synergistically to put the Sven in this list, because you can do a lot of interesting combinations. 4 Robin Hood for the shift package, 1 Cinderella for the shift as well, 1 Be Our Guest, okay, interesting tech option. 4 Storm, 4 Strength, 1 World's Greatest Criminal Mind, 4 Zeus, and 4 Whole New World. So yeah, pretty consistent list. Good job to Habibi there, taking down the win. Like the list a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense here. It's got good tech options. It has good ratios. The only thing I'm just a little here or there on is the 1 Greatest and the 1 Be Our Guest. But if you're looking to fill out your song count, why not? The Be Our Guest could actually be huge, right? Fishing out the character that you need for that certain situation and singing the song, right, so that you don't lose tempo and you can play whatever you get off of it, makes sense as well. Could definitely come in clutch. I could see that happening. I do want to see the red blue list, because as I've done a deep dive on this and I've talked about cutting dime, you can see here that again dime is just not in the list. It seems like red blue is almost shifting towards low uninkable counts, but also just focusing on shark. And you can see here Lazaro's list, who came second, played 4 shark. The 2 ice block is a little bit of a strange thing with the 3 Sisu and okay, only 3 brawl, but typically to get value off Sisu and ice block just being a great card in general, combining with the big Sisu as well, it is pretty powerful. But yeah, 3 small Sisu, 3 big Sisu, 3 brawl, so a total of 9 strength based removal cards with only 2 ice block. And total item count is only 9 as well, so not too many for Hiram. but the goal is that you get the Popsicle in rotation with the Hiram. The Great Stone Dragon is definitely a card that's been coming up in a lot of the top tables. A lot of top players in red-blue are playing this simply because it's just a way in the control matchups for you to maintain advantage. If your opponent is playing it and you are not, and they get it in rotation and you don't have a way to continue to ink, you will lose that game in the red-blue mirror. So I think hedging one Great Stone Dragon could be something that's interesting, or something that you should be considering as a red-blue player if this is a deck that you want to play. 3, how far I'll go. Only 2, be prepared. And then, a standard suite of actions. 2, Pirate's Life. We've talked about this card becoming more meta relevant, like lower drain cards becoming more popular as we see aggro become such a force in the meta. I do sort of wonder, like I know Pirate's Life is higher impact with the 2 drain, 2 gain, and potentially 3 gain off of if the shark is on board or multiple sharks are on board, then you gain even more than 3. But the Thievery for 1 is an interesting option. Maybe you go 1 Pirate's Life, 1 Thievery, just because being able to recur the Thievery as well and just recast it for 1 is decent, right? Instead of having to worry about singing or paying 6 for a Pirate's Life. But I don't know, like maybe the Pirate's Life is, like the higher impact of the Pirate's Life just matters more. 4, Maleficent Dragon, and 2, Tamatoa. So again, just not really focusing on what red-blue traditionally did before. Tamatoa is still a really strong card. The item recursion, right? The whole setup with the Hiram to recur the Popsicle and banish and draw cards. All of that stuff seems to be going to the wayside now. It's still in the deck, but the format is so much faster now that you can't really rely on these dimes and these longer setups. You're just playing for aggression. Because you do have a couple of board wipes, I mean, the McDuck Manor here is an interesting option. Against the aggro matchups, if you are able to drop a Sisu and you clear the board and you have a McDuck Manor on field already, or you played one on the follow-up, aggro decks can't answer the McDuck Manor more or less, right? So this thing is just going to gain you 2 passive lore every turn. I personally didn't like McDuck Manor when I played it, but I'm glad that somebody, Lazaro, found success with it. I always found myself wanting to play more reactive cards, and this card is more of a proactive card to generate lore, but if you're able to play the game very well and manage board states, you can definitely gain a lot of benefit of McDuck Manor, and it can close out a lot of games for you for sure. The Secret Sauce by the winner of DLC Toronto, Diego, I think his name was. This is a list that has been kind of not floating around, but been experimented with a little bit since the start of the set. Not similar to what you saw in the LCCC with Earl, with like big Elsas and all that stuff. This one focused much more on like low to the ground. I would think that you'd want to play more Tiny Adversary because you gain a lot of benefit off Nala, Diablo having the Crab and the Madam Mim. This deck I think would be really, really powerful if Perdita wasn't so vulnerable to all of the strength-based removal from like red-blue. Like getting instantly outed by a small Sisu really hurts a Perdita. But if Perdita was in this game still a meta-relevant card, could you imagine just Perdita reviving back Diablos and Nalas and then getting free strength boosts off of, like, you can even revive back Madam Mim Tiny Adversary, right? And get the +1 challenger or multiple of these to get multiple +1 challengers. So it's a very interesting deck. They came, top 4, so losing out to either the Amber Steel Song or the Red-Blue. Most likely the Amber Steel Song if I had to guess. But that being said, Red-Blue can definitely clean up a deck like this since it is pretty much an aggro deck that plays low to the ground. But, there are a couple cards that would give you trouble. Fox, Goats, Bells, that kind of thing. But yeah, a Mufasa list, more or less. Only 3 Mufasa, though, and 1 Chernobog. Interesting list. The 2 of the Pan Shadow, you get more value off of this card with obviously Crab and Tiny Adversary. But this is a card in particular that I've been really looking at and testing to a certain degree. Just because it's a 0-3 body, it survives the infamous Cindy Storm combination. I mean, I don't want to say that's what this deck is aiming to do, but like Daisy Duck, Diablo, Nala, Snake, and Tiny Adversary, they all, 4 out of the 5 survive the Cindy Storm, and then one of them replaces itself when it gets Cindy Storm, right? So like as a one turn play, turn 1 play, turn 2 play, like these are very strong interactions. And the nice thing about this, and I was going to do a deep dive on Ruby Amethyst to talk about this as well. If you are aiming to set up the Snake, right, because it's one of your only 2 drops, I mean in this build he's also playing the 4 Piglet, but playing a Daisy Duck or a Nala to ensure that you survive a Storm Rage on 1 if you're on the draw and your opponent goes Cinderella on turn 1, it helps to ensure that you do get the snake on board. You get the resource back to hand, you can ink it, replay it, whatever. And then the Cindy Storm interaction is just very limited in terms of its use case. Um, and you just put a lot of decent willpower characters on board, and hopefully you can control the board state as you progress up, and you don't get completely blown up by something like a whole new world. So you're seeing that these very interesting play patterns occur. One of the reasons that this ink pairing was was interesting is also for that reason. Like it's able to make its like push through aggro, make its way into the meta decently well, similar to like Sapphire Amethyst to a certain degree, where it's like a tempo oriented deck. You just want to play cards every turn, but you're playing higher willpower characters. So you're going wide and you're hoping to trade out efficiently, right? You do have things like Elsa, Madam Mim, Crab to generate some kind of advantage, unexpected advantages at times, right? Rushing down, tapping down out of nowhere, boosting up out of nowhere, trading positively, that kind of thing. So in theory, the deck, works decently well. But yeah, I'm glad to see that somebody got success with something that was a little off meta. We got another red blue in top four. It would be interesting to know if this player went up against the other red blue in Lazaro, because you would think that this one, if that was the case, this one would be more favored, considering they are playing the Lucky Dime, and the Lucky Dime in the control matchup matters more. They are playing the One Stone Dragon. One Energy Blast. This card has some utility. A targeted removal similar to Dragonfire, but it draws a card. It can be recurred with the Shark, but I don't know. I think just focusing on brawls, ice blocks, Sisus might be more efficient, right? Like Energy Blast drawing a card is nice, but it costs 7. I'd rather just recur a brawl, ice block something down, brawl it away, and then use my rest of the ink to play another interaction. They're also only on 2 dragon, 1 hideaway. So yeah, very interesting list. But yeah, very different game plan. 1 Pirate's Life as well, and 4 Vision. But yeah, the 2 Brawl is very interesting. Only 2 small Sisu, but more ice blocks, right? So it's very interesting to see these deck choices, because in total, right, Lazaro was on 9, 3, 3, and 3, right, between the double Sisu and the Brawl. And this player is on 7, but they're playing 1 more ice block, right? So it just goes to show you that red blue can be played a number of different ways and still have success. We did get an Emerald Amethyst in the top 8. It's been a while since we've seen this deck pop up again, but this one is more or less, 1 Pegasus, okay. I would expect to be very similar to the Worlds list and or Artabax's list, and it is just no Clarabelle's in here, and on the 1 Lyle as well. But other than that, pretty straightforward and pretty standard. Also on the Crikey, or Cricky, whatever the name is. Heisenbell, who's somebody that's in the Discord. I've talked to her. I've met her once in real life too. Cool person. Congratulations on your top 8. Amber Steel Mind. Is this more or less the Canios list? I think it might be. Maybe it's a little bit different. I'm not sure if the Canio was on Sven's, but I've already talked about this card. Great card overall. I would like to see 4 happy. The Dwarf Mine, interaction is just so good. It's just so strong. Yeah, especially if you get, I would like to, maybe not in this list, but I would like to say if possible, playing a secondary location, just to have more locations in the deck so you can bounce things between locations. If you get 2 Dwarf Mines, it's the same thing. But I remember I was playing a match with Emerald Steel, and I had Hidden Coves and 7 Dwarfs Mine, and I was just moving stuff between the 2 locations. It was just disgusting. It was yeah, like the opponent, anything they developed, like they put Lawrence's on board, I was just like, okay, Sing Storm, move like a Happy to a Mine, pop it. Next turn, move Happy back to Hidden Cove for 1, move it back to Dwarf Mine for 3, pop something else. Because it's once per turn, right? And then if you get double mines in play, you can just spend all your ink moving stuff around and just popping stuff on field. It's really strong. But we already knew that, because this deck has been making waves in the meta lately. A lot of Amber Steel is showing up at the top tables. So a lot of people are trying to think about what are the ways to combat this. But yeah, pretty standard list. Not much to say here. Congratulations to Heisenbell for that top 8 performance. And then holy moly, we got another just slew of Amber Steel down here. One of my previous testing partners, and Ryan here as well, on Steel Song. Take a look at his list. I think he showed me this before he went. Yep, I'm a fan of the Gastons. I think this is more or less similar to Zach Bivens. The I'm Still Here as a tech option is also decent. If you can sing this and then use a character to trade out positively, like it can also protect your SME from taking damage and getting KO'd, right, as well when it's exerted. There's a couple of interesting use cases for this card. Protect your Pluto so it doesn't take damage and gets reduced strength, that kind of thing. Use Pluto to challenge. Yeah, very interesting list overall. But that is going to be the Enter the Battlefield 5K. Let me know what you think of that. And then we're going to take a look at the game castle. 62 easy. 62 cards is what I assume. And yes, 62. 47 players, 16 uninkables. We've got another red-blue without Lucky Dime. What a surprise. 1 Let It Go, 3 Pirate's Life, 3 Ice Block. I like this. 2 Vitalosphere instead of the 3 that we saw on previous lists, and 1 Shield of Virtue. 4 Shark. Like I was saying, guys, it does seem like red-blue is shifting towards the Shark and less towards the Tamatoa Dime. The format is just too fast. Shark coming in on 7, pop in the Vitalosphere, challenge, get back a Pirate's Life or something. It's what you got to do against these aggro decks, right? It's all you can do to slow them down. But, you know, this deck is less consistent than an aggro deck. An aggro deck, right, it plays low to the ground. You're always going to have something to play, whereas these decks require very specific setups. If you don't see your Vitalosphere, but you see the Shark, like, you have to wait. Now it's just an extra turn behind, that kind of thing. Yes, it's still a very powerful deck. You have obviously a number of different removal options. Like, you could, like, 4 big Sisu and 3 small Sisu and 3 Ice Block, as well as 3 Brawls. They will put in the work. They will keep you in the game. 4 big Maleficents as well. Like, once you get to the point where you've double ramped, you start dropping those Maleficents, it is going to be a very tough and uphill battle. And, you know, this player ended up winning, I believe. First place. Yeah, whoa, 16, 7, and 1 for a 47-player tournament. What? How would you play so many rounds? That's crazy. All right, well, green, purple, fast. Amethyst Chromacon. 4 gathering knowledge. This person is just like balls to the wall. I am going for like Enchantress, like just 2 questers up the board. Go Tamago. Yeah, let me just win the game as fast as possible here. Okay, I can respect this. This list looks like it would be very difficult to play against. If you don't know what to do against it or how to slow it down, like this thing is just gonna run you over. Wow. Yeah, the Merfolk, the Maleficent, the Bonsai, the Enchantress. Okay, the Ursula Deceiver, I guess, for some control. Of course, 4 White Rose and 4 Goats, 4 Genie, no Rabbits, 4 Gathering Knowledge, 4 Friends, 2 Boss, and 2 Amethyst Chroma. 4 Amethyst Chromacon. The Bosses on a Roll is a very interesting card to include here. I mean, I know it gains you lore, but I mean, if you're singing this, you're losing tempo, right? So I guess you're hard casting it and just questing. That's a cool list though. That's an awesome list. Another Emerald Amethyst. After I just said, you know, this list has kind of disappeared. Wait, what? This can't be right. 60 characters and you're playing Ursula, Deceiver of All? Nah, this cannot be correct. That has to be a mistake. But let's assume that it is correct. That's very odd. Dawn Carnage, good anti-genie tech. We saw this being played at the European Championship. And wow, 4 Rabbit, 4 Genie. Okay. I don't, maybe somebody can explain this to me. I don't really understand the point of the 1 Peter Pan Shadow Finder. I played Emerald Amethyst a decent amount, and I never played the Shadow Finder in my lists. I understand if you're playing this with like a card that can passively boost. I don't know if you want to play this with depending on Crab, but maybe you play 2 then. But I mean, it's a meta call. Like a 1-up just seems very strange to me. I don't know. But you know, players make it work. Artifacts made it work. I think he cut it from his list though in the end. We have an aggro bounce list. Holy, okay, whoa, this weird ratio here. Did the person not just have 4 Lilos? I wonder. Lilo is a hero though, isn't it? She is a hero. Okay, interesting. And Maleficent is a villain. Got 2 Nala. Man, I'm not seeing any tiny adversaries. I'm sad. 1 Pinocchio. But you're an aggro list. Right? No? Pinocchio seems like an odd choice. But I mean, with fox, snakes, crabs, goats, I mean, this setup's been around since set 2, right? So powerful still. Um, yeah, when you're on Amber Amethyst, you don't need to play rabbits because Rapunzel is just infinitely better. So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, even if you bounce, you'd rather bounce a Rapunzel than a rabbit, and then should we play Rapunzel for even more value? Like it's strong, man. It is strong. I like Diego's list, like with the tiny adversary, but three Mufasa, one of the Hades here. This is actually, well, no big Elsa. I think Earlmeister's list was running the big Elsas, but yeah, it looks kind of similar. How many uninkables in total? 15. Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about these one drops. I think this might be enough. I don't know. I just think that these guys get blown out too much. I mean, I guess it depends. It's a meta call, right? But like, I'm so hesitant to play cards that just get blown out completely by the steel decks. Amber Amethyst here with a very different kind of list. Man, people are on these. Okay, wow. This one is definitely. How did these guys get through steel lists, man? Like so many. Like, look at this one drop package. 16, 17 one drops. Two Snake, two Pinocchio. You're capping out at 4, right? And a Chernobog, okay, and a Tiana. Okay, I like it. I like the spice. Two bosses on a roll, 4 Amethyst. Amethyst Chromacon's coming back, guys. Hope you got your foils. No, I'm kidding. It's a decent card still. Good in these aggro decks. Yeah, top 8's there. That's gonna do it for this meta review. Let me know what you think. Definitely some interesting results. Oh, we got another red blue. I'm curious to see if this person was on this winner box. It's only 19 players, but I'm curious to see if this person was running dime. No dime. Sharks? 3 shark. Yep. It seems like that is the shift in the meta. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap it up here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below if you made it this far. Thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.